You are watching the number one podcast in the whole entire YouTube wrestling community, and I'm one of your hosts, Juan.
And I'm your other host, John Paul Leck.
And together we are with the legend killer, Rope Emergence, Impact 9-1 family. We're right here to talk about, Impact. It's been kind of a lot of buzz, so we decided to just cover it. And like Jean Paul said, it wasn't a great pay-per-view. It wasn't more like an episode of a weekly show. I don't think that it was like a pay-per-view caliber, but we're going to talk a bit. We're going to be talking about absolutely everything. So Jean Paul, your thoughts very quick on this 9-1 Emergence.
I really think they loaded up night 2. I think you could have took one. I think if you would have had the Iron Man match or the Iron Women match on this night 1, it really would have made it feel special, because that I thought was the best match at Slammiversary, the match between Deonna Purrazzo and Jordynne Grace. So I think if you would have had that on night 1, really would have made it feel good. But yeah, like you said, this to me was like another weekly show of Impact. There wasn't really anything that popped me. The best thing I thought was a promo. By Brian Myers. That's what I thought the best thing
promo
of the whole show was.
Brian Myers, like you said, Kurt Hawkins, for the ones that are familiar with WWE. So we're going to be talking about everything. So thank you so very much for watching every single one of the videos. Don't forget, Monday Night Raw review, go home show for SummerSlam with Jean Paul Leck. Drew McIntyre gets like RKO and Shawn Michaels the same thing. A lot of people, Jean Paul, are saying why Shawn Michaels is able to stand up right away while Ric Flair and everybody else was done after the RKO and the punt. But Shawn Michaels is like.
Okay, it's Shawn Michaels, and also there's like a 30-year age difference. So
yeah, like Bully Ray, you tell that to Bully Ray and to Leo Rush, but we will tell that in another time. So Jean Paul 9-1 started out with TJP, Chris Bay, and Rajid Rahu. For the X Division Championship. This match was pretty interesting because pretty much the whole load of the match was like TJP and Chris Bay. Raju was like in and out, it was like a pretty one-sided triple threat. It was just the TJP and, like I said, Chris Bay. Your thoughts on this, Mr. Leck?
Yeah, I believe Madison Rayne at one point, she said it looks like these guys are straight out of a video game. I agree with that because they were kind of just, really all over the place. Like you said, a lot of double team moves, a lot of, just working over, but it was mostly those two you mentioned, like TJP, Chris Bay, and then Raju steals the thing. I was watching, and I'm like, okay, like, you're just like you're like, that's who wins, and it's, it's like, okay, but it was a good match. I don't really care for the winner. I thought the champion was going to retain here. I didn't think they were going to, pull any Isaiah Swerve Scotts here with the Chris Bay, but they did. So I guess an interesting way to start out, but I don't see. They always play hot potato with the X Division Championship. I see that's how it's going to go, in the next coming week or two.
I don't understand why they had Chris Bay win in Slammiversary and right away they give it to Raju.
Yeah.
I think Chris Bay did a really great job going against Willie Mack, and the match was really good in Slammiversary. We covered that. This happened to be a little bit more like a technical match. I like how TJP was doing sharpshooters, northern line suplexes, and domino stretch. But in the end, Raju did the stump. Something that the Rio used to do. He becomes a new X Division champion, like you said. That's pretty much Impact is playing hot potato with that. I don't really like that, but that's what they did. So it was a hot start for Slammiversary. I will say that. Now we're gonna go to the match that everybody was kind of looking forward to see during night 1, and that's our the TNA champion. That is Mr. Moose, and going against Trey Miguel. What do you think about this match, Jean Paul?
This was good. Obviously, Moose is dominant. I love his theme song. I just love Moose. The way he looks. Anybody who wears a headband, you already get points in my book. So he looks like a champ. He acts like a champ. The music's legit. Like I said, he dominated here against Trey. But, he did sell for Trey. When Trey made the comeback, Moose sold, but obviously he's the dominant guy. There was a spot where Moose was just standing there on the outside. I'm like, oh, is this Tuesday night or Wednesday? Move out of the way. What the hell? Don't just stand there for the spot. But he caught him, slammed him on the outside. So I'm like, oh, okay. Then I don't mind when they just stand there and let the guy hit him. But, it was a good match. Obviously, he won. We weren't going to see anything because the main story here is what we saw after the match.
Spear and done. Spear and done, Mr. Egg. But the main story, like you said, out of nowhere, a guy that pretty much WWE wasted, and he wasted WWE's time. So I will say it's a 50-50, and that's Ethan Carter the third. Talking about John Stevenson the third, and that's our guy. EC3. So he's the one that grabs the championship. And like he's like saying, he wants to be the TNA World Heavyweight Champion. He was already the TNA World Heavyweight Champion before. So like you said, that's the main story that they want.
Yeah, and he actually hightailed it out of there with the belt, so then that's going to be the storyline. I think we're going to see something, maybe not a match at night 2, but I think we're going to see some continuation of that storyline next week.
Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely agree with you. So like it's interesting. We had a little bit of like the Wrestle House. We had like Rosemary, she was there, like also like Taya Valkyrie, and then they had like the whole thing about like somebody stole their beer. So that was the thing, and that was like a Gomez, and also they had like the other guy that is a lover right now. So like to walk me through it, because like you wanted to talk a little bit about
it's funny because it's like Rosemary, she's trying to get Johnny Bravo's attention, and Johnny Bravo to me looks like a middle-aged Karrion Kross. I don't know if you think that too. Like take away the tattoos, looks like Karrion Kross middle-aged. So she's trying to get his attention, so she put that spell on that fat fuck, whoever his name is, sorry, no offense, but she put it on him, and then he's all over her, and it's like, oh, okay, we've all been there when a chick, dates the fat fuck to get back at you, and it's like, okay, whatever, that's cool. But Johnny Bravo, I mean, Wrestle House, we saw a match from it tonight, which I was looking forward to. The match, it's like, really wasn't that good, but Wrestle House, I think it's kind of a funny concept. And I think it can only live on Impact. I don't think it could be on any other show. Maybe AEW. It's kind of like being the Elite almost, but a funny segment here.
That's true. Like I agree with you. I think that like Wrestle House is like a lot of for a lot of people that like try to watch Impact, try to get behind Impact. That's the one thing that makes them go away. Is Wrestle House, because it's funny. It's like kind of like it's like a little bit of dark humor. Nobody really gets where like the jokes are. But it was okay. I mean, like they were looking for like who stole our beer, and everybody else would like they keep coming. I was like, not me.
I think it's Johnny Swinger. He's like my favorite on Reddit. I love. He's like, it's not me, Daddy. He's like, I'm straight edge. And then they all look at him, and he's like, all right, I'm on probation. He's like, just play up the gimmick. Come on.
Yeah, no. I love.
Or keep kayfabe or whatever he says.
Su Young, because Su Young is like, like we got a truce. Everybody's truce. It's like okay, and they didn't know. But talking about we mentioned being the Elite. Somebody that said like that he was the Elite before the Elite was cool. That was like our guy. That was Eric Young. He had a promo. He pretty much was saying that like he is like play every single thing on Impact. He was a good guy. He was heel. He was a member of faction. He was a superhero. He was like his division champion. He was World Heavyweight Champion. So now he's the purest version of Eric Young, and I really like that. We're gonna see that like he's hyping up that match, because I know that like Rick Swann is gonna come back at some point. So like that's gonna be their main story, and I really like that, Jean Paul. I really love that.
Yeah, I like it too, and I mean they should cut. What did they say when the pay-per-view was, or what that was, his match against Kurt Angle? Because when they kind of showed this, I was like, what's going on? And I was like, well, I don't need to see a replay.
I really didn't catch up on that, but it was a stretcher match, so that was cool. And Eric Young beat Kurt Angle, and also Angle was kind of busted open on top of the head, because we could see a little bit of blood. Good stuff. I mean, Eric Young, like he was like TNA World Heavyweight Champion when Daniel Bryan was WWE champion.
To me, Eric Young and EC3 were like two guys who they were like, there was no reason for them to leave, because they had it so good there. To leave to go to WWE was a complete waste. So they're back where I think they're going to flourish the most.
Yes. Yeah, no, I agree with you, Jean Paul. Excellent comment. So, let's go to the next match, Jean Paul, and that is Good Brothers going against Ace Austin and Madman Fulton. Legit. And, they had like their first, like I would say, pay-per-view match. I really like Ace Austin character, Jean Paul. Gambit, a little bit of the X-Men, and like the Good Brothers. The only thing, Jean Paul, is like, from Tokyo, Japan. They're not from Tokyo, Japan. I'm like, really?
I mean, that's where Parlay. Yeah, that's where his wife's from, who he has like 4 kids with. But I mean, it was cool. They cut a legit promo, before the match. Luke Gallows, I've been to jail before. Hell, I've been to jail in this city before. So. That was really cool.
Fire on our asses, so we're gonna kick you. We're gonna beat you and everything. So yeah, I like that. So the match was good. Did you like that?
Yeah, the match was good. I mean, I don't know. I guess like I don't know if I was expecting more, but I mean the right team won here. I thought so. It was good. It's good to see no pun intended, the Good Brothers back in action. But I don't think this is going to be the end of the feud. I think there's going to be more to it.
Oh yeah, there's gonna be more, and like we're looking forward, because like you said, the Good Brothers is like a big addition for Impact, so they got to do a little more. I think that like for example, now that like they have this feud over, they're gonna go against the World Heavyweight Champions or the Tag Champions, and I hope that like that's what they do. Like we're gonna reveal who it is, but like the match was good. They tried for the Magic Killer, that didn't happen, and then they did like a slam or something, and that was the end of it. Luke Gallows pinned, I think, Madman Fulton, and then there you go. We
I
got a
think
good
actually,
run.
I think it might have been Ace Austin who got pinned actually.
Oh
But
yeah, yeah, you're
but
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I do like the tag team of Ace Austin. I agree with you. Like you said, I love the character. I love the dynamics and the tag team moves that they were pulling off. Even more so than the Good Brothers, maybe because I've seen them before. But like you said, good match.
Oh yeah, it was good match, and like you said, I like though. I don't know about you, and I just want your quick thought on that. Madison Rain and also Josh Matthews on commentary. I think that they're good. I enjoy them,
Yeah,
although
yeah,
they're
no,
being
they're
a couple, so it's good. I
yeah,
like it.
they're definitely not. I mean, they're not like the greatest, but I enjoy listening to them. I can listen to them a lot easier than I do Tom Phillips, Byron Saxton,
Or Michael Cole,
and
and
Michael
Corey
Cole and
Graves.
Corey
I mean,
Graves. Yeah,
like Madison knows a lot, and like her input is good, and Josh, and they're a couple that they interact each other, that they love
hmm
the same business is good. So
oh
Jean
yeah,
Paul, let's go to the stuff that you love the most, and that was like the promo Brian Myers. There you go, right there. Like he actually was like talking to Willie Mack. So like he pulls like out of Willie Mack, and then he starts talking about like how like he got fired from WWE pretty much when like his wife was like 6 months pregnant, and he's like, well, I'm tired that like a 70-year-old old man is the one that's making the decisions, and for everybody else. So good promo. I like the intensity from Brian Myers. So you Jean Paul, your thoughts?
oh yeah. I love the intensity. Like you said, a 70-year-old man who's completely out of touch. He's the one who controls everybody's lives, and it's not fair, and this is bullshit. I'm sick of just being told, oh, you're a good hand. All this other stuff. It's kind of like almost the Sean Spears thing. Oh, you're just a good hand. But I don't think Brian Myers is going to go down the same path as Sean Spears, because you see the intensity he shows, and Sean Spears looks like a deer in the headlights out there every time we see him.
Oh yeah, exactly. Where's Jean Paul?
So
You and me are gonna see him like now in night two because he's gonna go against Willie Mack because Willie Mack
mm,
attacked him right after like he cut this great promo, especially that great line. So good stuff for Brian Myers. He already challenged Eddie
definitely.
Edwards. He didn't become the champion, but he said I'll be a champion at some point. So good stuff on that. Like you said, Jean Paul Wrestle House and that Kylie Ray against Taya Valkyrie. They had the match. Like you said, we were thinking about big things about this. But it was semi decent. Like Rosemary was like the ref, and in the end, like Kylie Ray won. So like that was good. I really like that.
Yeah,
I mean,
the whole story. It's like, oh, Rosemary. It's like, oh, slow counts for Kylie Ray. Obviously her and Ty are working together. But everything on Wrestle House, all the matches we've seen before, they're just shot in a way where it doesn't look that legit. And it's just like funny. It's like, oh, okay, haha. It's almost like you're seeing wrestling on like a show like a Boy Meets World or something like that. Like you're not seeing wrestling on an actual wrestling program.
oh yeah, yeah.
So,
No, I agree with you. I agree with you. But like I mean, I think the future of women's wrestling is Kylie Ray. I'm really high on her. I love her.
definitely.
Like she's extremely like the super kick, like the intensity, how she connects. Taya Valkyrie is a pretty good wrestler too. So I like this. For me, this is like a smaller version of like a Bailey, like a Asuka, like a smaller version.
Oh
but
yeah,
like,
and I think Kylie Ray at some point very soon she's going to be challenging whoever wins the Knockouts Championship next week.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely, Jean Paul. So now let's go to the main event time, and that's the Motor City Machine Guns going against the North in the rematch for the TNA World Tag Team Championships. So Jean Paul, what do you think about this match? I really liked it. I think they gave it enough time, but we knew that like the team that just become champion was going to win in the end.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. They gave this match a long time, and they're really putting over the Motor City Machine Guns in this. They're like, oh, Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley, they're legit. They've been tag champs here before. Obviously, Sabin has been the world champ here. Sabin, he came in with the hot tags. He looked good, kicking out of pretty much everything. Shelley was in there. He was the one who they're kind of working over most of the match. So I don't want to say that like anybody's like a Shawn Michaels or Marty Jannetty, because I feel like they're treated evenly, but I feel like Sabin is just a little bit higher. They kind of like, oh, Sabin is the guy. But I mean, both of them are the guys because they are the tag team champs. They did win in the end. That's the right thing to do. And like they said, when the North loses, they go back to the bottom of the list. And it's like, hey, they were the champs for a long time. Let's get some new teams in there. But I really don't know who, will challenge them next. Like you said, maybe the Good Brothers, Fulton and Ace Austin, but they got to finish up their feud, I think. So I think they're going to be.
There's a little bit of like things that could happen. So that's the interesting about Impact. And like you said, for like a regular episode of it, I think it was good enough. We're gonna have, like you said, the 30 minute like Iron match, like women's. Like we're gonna have like next week. We're gonna have Eddie Edwards defending, maybe to a possible Heats later. So that will be cool. So that's gonna be night 2. Also, like I said, Brian Myers with Willie Mack. So like a lot of good stuff coming up. So good stuff. I think that like for like as an episode, it was just good. to like pay-per-view caliber. I don't think that's going like too high. But that's the review on this show. Jean-Paul, thank you so very much for being with us. You pulled a double duty today. So family, don't forget to check all the videos and all the content. This week is great in wrestling. With SummerSlam, we got NXT Takeover, previews and predictions for both shows. We are preparing really great interviews. So Jean-Paul, maybe a little bit of we can spice it up and say a little bit of dark side of the ring caliber stuff. So Jean-Paul, we're not really need to remind anybody about the social media because right there it is. Facebook Road Break, OG Road Break on Twitter, the original Road Break, and you're here meat and potatoes, like Jean-Paul, or everything like right here on the channel. So please, give us a chance. We always bring you the best possible content in professional wrestling. So Jean-Paul, you and me have one more thing that is left to say, and that is.